Hello, senior squirrels. Little Women, Chapter 28, Domestic Experiences. And woo, this is a long one. This will be a part 1 and 2, if not 3. We'll see what we can do. Hope you all are having a happy Sunday. It's October 13th as I read this. Like most young matrons, Meg began her married life with the determination to be a model housekeeper. I need one of those in my house. John should find home a paradise. He should always see a smiling face, should fare sumptuously every day, and never know the loss of a button. She brought so much love, energy, and cheerfulness to the work that she could not but succeed in spite of some obstacles. Her paradise was not a tranquil one, for the little woman fussed, was over anxious to please, and bustled about like a true Martha, like in the Bible, cumbered with many cares. She was too tired, sometimes even to smile. John grew dyspeptic after a course of dainty dishes and ungratefully demanded plain fare. As for buttons, she soon learned to wonder where they went, to shake her head over the carelessness of men, and to threaten to make him sew them on himself, and then see if his work would stand impatient tugs and clumsy fingers any better than hers. They were very happy even after they discovered that they couldn't live on love alone. John did not find Meg's beauty diminished, though she beamed at him from behind the familiar coffee pot. Nor did Meg miss any of the romance from the daily parting when her husband followed up his kiss with the tender inquiry, "Shall I send home veal or mutton for dinner, darling?" The little house ceased to be a glorified bower, but it became a home, and the young couple soon felt that it was a change for the better. At first they played keep house and frolicked over it like children. Then John took steadily to business, feeling the cares of the head of the family upon his shoulders, and Meg laid by her cambric wrappers, put on a big apron, and fell to work, as before said, with more energy than discretion. While the cooking mania lasted, she went through Mrs. Cornelius's. While the cooking mania lasted, there should be a comma there. She went through Mrs. Cornelius's recipe book as if it were a mathematical exercise, working out the problems with patience and care. Sometimes her family were invited to help eat up a too bounteous feast of successes, or Lottie would be privately dispatched with a batch of failures which were to be concealed from all eyes in the convenient stomachs of the little Hummels. An evening with John over the account books usually produced a temporary lull in the culinary enthusiasm, and a frugal fit would ensue, during which the poor man was put through a course of bread pudding, hash, and warmed-over coffee, which tried his soul, although he bore it with praiseworthy fortitude. Before the golden mean was found, however, Meg added to her domestic possessions what young couples seldom get on long without a family jar. Fired with a housewifely wish to see her storeroom stocked with homemade preserves, she undertook to put up her own currant jelly. John was requested to order home a dozen or so of little pots and an extra quantity of sugar, for their own currants were ripe and were to be attended to at once. As John firmly believed that my wife was equal to anything, and took a natural pride in her skill, he resolved that she should be gratified, and their only crop of fruit laid by in a most pleasing form for winter use. Home came 4 dozen delightful little pots, half a barrel of sugar, and a small boy to pick the currants for her. With her pretty hair tucked into a little cap, arms bared to the elbow, and a checked apron which had a coquettish look in spite of the bib, the young housewife fell to work feeling no doubts about her success. For hadn't she seen Hannah do it hundreds of times? The array of pots rather amazed her at first, but John was so fond of jelly, and the nice little jars would look so well on top of the shelf, that Meg resolved to fill them all and spend a long day pickling, boiling, straining, and fussing over her jelly. She did her best. She asked advice of Mrs. Cornelius. She racked her brain to remember what Hannah did that she had left undone. She reboiled, resugared, restrained, but that dreadful stuff wouldn't gel. She longed to run home, bib and all, and ask Mother to lend a hand, but John and she had agreed that they would never annoy anyone with their private worries, experiments, or quarrels. They had laughed over that last word as if the idea it suggested was a most preposterous one. But they had held to their resolve, and whenever they could get on without help, they did so. And no one interfered, for Mrs. March had advised her the plan. So Meg wrestled alone for the refractory sweetmeats all that hot summer day, and at 5 o'clock sat down in her topsy-turvy kitchen, wrung her bedaubled hands, lifted up her voice, and wept. Now in the first flush of the new life she had often said, "My husband shall always feel free to bring a friend home whenever he likes. I shall always be prepared. There shall be no flurry, no scolding, no discomfort, but a neat house, a cheerful wife, and a good dinner. John dear, never stop to ask my leave. Invite whom you please, and be sure of welcome from me." How charming that was, to be sure. John quite glowed with pride to hear her say it, and felt what a blessed thing it was to have a superior wife. But although they had company from time to time, it nearly happened to be unexpected, and Meg had never had an opportunity to distinguish herself till now. It always happens so in this vale of tears. There is an inevitability about such things which we can only wonder at, deplore, and bear as best we can. If John had forgotten all about the jelly, it really would have been unpardonable in him to choose that day of all the days in the year to bring a friend home to dinner unexpectedly, congratulating himself that a handsome repast had been ordered that morning, feeling sure that it would be ready to the minute, and indulging in pleasant anticipations of the charming effect it would produce. When his pretty wife came running out to meet him, he escorted his friend to his mansion. With the irrepressible satisfaction of a young host and husband. It is a world of disapprovements, as John discovered when he reached the dovecote. The front door usually stood hospitably open. Now it was not only shut, but locked, and yesterday's mud still adorned the steps. The parlor windows were closed and curtained. No picture of the pretty wife sewing on the piazza in white, with the distracting little bow in her hair, or a bright-eyed hostess smiling a shy welcome as she greeted her guest. Nothing of the sort, for not a soul appeared, but a sanguinary-looking boy asleep under the currant bushes. "I'm afraid something has happened. Step into the garden, Scott, while I look up Mr. Brooks," said John, alarmed at the silence and solitude. Round the house he hurried, led by a pungent smell of burnt sugar, and Mr. Scott rolled after him with a queer look on his face. He paused directly at a distance when Brooke appeared, but he could both see and hear, and being a bachelor, enjoyed the prospect mightily. In the kitchen reigned confusion and despair. One edition of jelly was trickled from pot to pot. Another lay upon the floor, and a third was burning gaily on the stove. Lottie, with Teutonic phlegm, was calmly eating bread and currant wine, for the jelly was still in the hopelessly liquid state, while Mrs. Brooke, with her apron over her head, sat sobbing dismally. "My dearest girl, what is the matter?" cried John, rushing in, with awful visions of scalded hands, sudden news of affliction, and secret consternation at the thoughts of the guests in the garden. "Oh, John, I'm so tired and hot and cross and worried. I've been at it till I'm all worn out. Do come and help me, or I shall die." And the exhausted housewife cast herself upon his breast, giving him a sweet volume in every sense of the word, for her pinafore had been baptized at the same time as the floor. "What worries you, dear? Has anything dreadful happened?" When the anxious John tenderly kissed the crown of the little cap, which was all askew. "Yes," sobbed Meg despairingly. "Tell me quick, then. Don't cry. I can bear anything but that. Out with it, love." The jelly won't jail, and I don't know what to do." John Brooke laughed then, as he never dared to laugh afterward, and the derisive Scott smiled involuntarily as he heard the hearty peal, which put the finishing stroke in poor Meg's woe. "Is that all? Fling it out the window and don't bother any more about it. I'll buy you quarts if you want it, but for heaven's sakes, don't have hysterics. For I've brought Jack Scott home to dinner," and John got no further, for Meg cast him off and clasped her hands with a tragic gesture as she fell into a chair, exclaiming in a tone of mingled indignation, reproach, and dismay, "A man to dinner, and everything in a mess. John Brooke, how could you do such a thing?" "Hush. He's in the garden. I forgot the confounded jelly, but it can't be helped now," said John, surveying the prospect with an anxious eye. "You ought to have sent word or told me this morning, and you ought to have remembered how busy I was," continued Meg petulantly, for even turtle doves will peck when ruffled. "I didn't know it this morning, and there was no time to send word, for I met him on the way out. I never thought of asking leave when you have always told me to do as I liked. I never tried it before, and hang me if I'll ever do it again," added John with an exaggerated air. "I should hope not. Take him away at once. I can't see him, and there isn't any dinner." "Well, I like that. Where's the beef and vegetables I sent home? And the pudding you promised?" cried John, rushing to the larder. "I hadn't time to cook anything. I meant to dine at Mother's. I'm sorry, but I was so busy." And Meg's tears began again. Guys, I know that I didn't read very much, but I'm getting so sleepy again. And I'm still feeling better from the iron and all, but just have been going to bed too late. And for some reason can't sleep in. I don't know if that's the thyroid thing. Somebody told me that it did mess up your sleep, so I'll be glad when it fully gets into my system. Anyway, we'll get it read. Thank you for helping me with playtime, for letting my ads run. Y'all, I'm up to $5 and something. I know that seems like nothing. But after just being monetized a couple days, I really, 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 really appreciate y'all letting those run and just get up, get you something to drink, eat, crochet or knit or something during that time. I try to help you guys out also that have ads. Now, if it's 45 minutes or even 5 minutes or even 3 minutes, you know, little short ones. But I know, I believe it was Julie said something about one was 45 minutes. Oh my gracious. And I guess she was talking about one of mine. I for sure don't mean for y'all to do that. So, but I do appreciate it, and it is making a difference. Slowly but surely, but that's fine. Okay, guys and gals, I love you a whole bunch. Be sweet, don't be ugly. I hope to see you tomorrow live at 5. Be sweet, don't be ugly. Bye-bye.